Welcome back. We're going to spend the next few weeks looking at a series of keyboard instruments. You have seen these here before, probably, in some form or another. So a kind of a generic explanation of what a keyboard instrument is. A musical keyboard is the set of adjacent depressible levers or keys on a musical instrument. Keyboards typically contain keys for playing the 12 notes of the Western musical scale with a combination of larger, longer keys and smaller, shorter keys that repeats at the interval of an octave. That's a lot of big words. So if you've ever looked at a piano keyboard, that's just what they're talking about. Some of the keys are longer than others. Sometimes they're different colors. That's just to make it easier to see them. The first instrument we're going to look at is called the Cimbalom. It is the national instrument of Hungary, and that's where the modern version that you see a picture of here originated. There's history of this instrument dating all the way back to 3500 BC. It's been around in one form or another for a very, very long time. And you can see it in artwork and carvings and everything dating back that far. The strings on a modern instrument like this one are made of metal, much like a piano. And the way that the performer gets sound out of them is they use these little wooden mallets. And they're interesting. They're kind of like hammers, except they're not shaped like a hammer. They're more like a long spoon. And on the end, they wrap them with either some kind of cloth or sometimes leather to give them a distinctive sound. And you'll hear that in just a few minutes. They use chromatic tuning, like on a piano. You can see the longer strings are lower and the shorter strings are higher, so they're set up chromatically. That way, the further away you go from yourself, the higher you go in pitch. So that's not, super complicated, but you have to know where your reference pitch is to find your bearings. The piece of music we're going to listen to today is called Hary, Yanos, and it is the story of an army veteran who is telling tales of his former glory to the villagers. He's like sitting outside a coffee shop just telling stories. Other places you might have heard this, if you've seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies, the character Gollum is usually represented by a cimbalom. You can hear it in the theme every time he's on screen. The first modern composer to use the cimbalom as an orchestral instrument was Franz Liszt, the pianist. I'm not sure what the piece was, but he was the first guy to write for it in the orchestra. So this great Hungarian instrument, the modern versions, like the one you see here, shaped like a trapezoid, helps to accommodate the length of the strings. They could make it shaped like anything, but that's what they did. So the piece we're going to listen to here, let me get the video pulled up for you, and you will see it is a wonderful, wonderful piece of music. I got a chance to play it once with the Spokane Symphony, and that was pretty cool. So here is the movement from Hary, Yanos featuring the Cimbalom. Okay. That recording doesn't really let you hear the cimbalom as a solo instrument, but it's often not played as a solo instrument. You're welcome to go, just Google cimbalom and you can hear one by itself. But that piece of music there is one of the more commonly played. There are not very many people in the world that can play that, probably 10 or less. So they kind of have a standing job. And concert cimbaloms like that are pretty rare. So they usually have to travel with the instrument or ship it ahead. I remember when I played it with Spokane, the cimbalom player had just played with Seattle Symphony, and then he played with Spokane, and he was on his way to, I think, Chicago to play with an orchestra there next. So it's a big amount of organization. All right, that's your first exposure to an often overlooked keyboard instrument. We'll have pipe organ next week.